This is the birth of your new Malibu boat. She's just about to come out of the mould. Of course, it's like a cake. You're building it inside out. Sometime you've got to lift it out. So we've got the lifters coming up, putting stress onto the mould, putting stress onto the piece, and she's just going to crack straight out because it's been a highly waxed mould, really well prepared, and she's just going to pop straight out and up. Let's watch it. Here we are down in the mould shop with Simon Hill, Sales Manager for Malibu Boats. How are you, Simon?
Good, thanks, John. This is the Gelcoat shop, so this is where all the moulds live, and this is where the boats start their life. We do all the different tape-ups for the different moulds. Once the colours are applied in the spray booth, up into the glass shop. Just at the end of the spray section, so in this environment here we actually spray the boats inside the spray booth, which is got full climate control on there, so it's heated and air conditioned for a constant temperature. And then, unlike a lot of manufacturers, we use actual full gel coat machines for all the colour applications as well, rather than pot spraying. That gives us a denser gel coat, which will give us a much better finish in the long run.
And the climate control is very important, obviously.
Yeah, look, it can get a little chilly in Albury in the winter time, so this whole room is heated in the winter, air conditioned in the summer, and having the moulds at a constant temperature throughout the entire build process, again, gives us a much more consistent result.
Simon, it looks like we've got a three-colour boat here. What's going on?
Yeah, so for obvious reasons, the process that we use to get the gel coat into these boats is called an in-the-mould process. Not a particularly creative name, but describes exactly what's going on. You know, a lot of brands is one colour, and then you get a stripe painted on after, or there's stickers. This is all done in the mould, so all the tapes separate off each panel sprayed one at a time, till you've got all the colours in the boat, and then it wheels up here for lamination.
Great stuff. So this will end up a black, white and blue boat.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Simon, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Where are we?
Smell? What smell? Yeah. Look, this is the lamination section, so this is where now the moulds that we've seen the colours have gone on come up to the lam area here. Two different types of laminations in a Malibu. First lam is chopped strand, second lam is all the woven fiberglass. We use a bit of core mat as well, and that really gives us a much stiffer, stronger boat. Fiberglass stringers and floor in here as well, so no wood in a Malibu.
So the chopped strand is actually coming out through the gun. That's your very fine layer of chopped little pieces of fiberglass going in, mixed with the resin and the catalyst.
Yep.
And then, of course, the woven rovings are the traditional fiberglass mat.
Yeah, a bit like the blanket stuff. And, that's a lot of people leave that out because it's very time-consuming and laborious to get in there, and it starts to get expensive, but, it really starts to separate us from everybody else.
Absolutely, and it just gives the whole boat so much more strength as well because those fibres are all bonded like a stringer system.
Yeah, exactly. And then you notice a bit of a breeze in here. There's a lot we're circulating, I think, 2 or 3 times more air through here than we're required by EPA. Which all that air is all filtered to, which is good for the environment. Okay, so we've laminated the boat, string is in, floor in, and then once all that's cured, comes out of the mould and into the grinding booth here. So rather than cutting holes and having dust going everywhere, it's all captured within the booth here. Environmentally a lot better, that's all captured.
Simon, you've mentioned stringers before. Tell us about the stringer system in the Malibus.
Okay, in the early 90s, Malibu eliminated the use of wood altogether. So to do that, we went to this stringer system here, which is it's a fiberglass chassis that gets put into our boat. It's called Fibex. That's an acronym for Fiberglass Engine Chassis System. So it's a hand-laminated fiberglass backbone that gets put in your boat. Wood's gone, no more rot.
There forever.
There forever.
Simon, we're talking about the stringer system. We're in the lamination shop here. What do we got in there?
So again, similar to the hull itself, multiple laminates. First layer of chopped strand, and then you can now see the woven fiberglass going in. These things need to be pretty strong because, as we said, they're the backbone of the boat. And then they're what we call over-laminated in the area where the engine's going to be through-bolted through that system. So
we've got 2 layers of laminate and the chopped strand in between and over the top.
Yeah. So they can be in area. They vary from 10 to 20 mil thick.
Simon, when I started boat building all those too many years ago, we didn't have any of these sort of extraction systems. You'd walk around in the shop and you'd actually see glass fibres all the way through the atmosphere. We haven't got any of that here, mate.
No, well, obviously there's, the restrictions on what you can do these days are a fair bit different to the 70s, I would suspect. We do circulate a lot of air through here. Look, again, heated, air-conditioned. It's a good environment, so it's more comfortable for the workers as well.
Yep.
But it is a lot cleaner.
Absolutely. Simon, we're in the interior shop here, and you mentioned no wood before. There is no wood here. What are all these bits and pieces?
Well, yeah, at no point building a boat that's got a lifetime warranty and can last forever before your seats fall to bits in 2 years. So, again, no timber in the interior either. We use about 6 different synthetic panels, all different kinds. That's the product we make the floor out of. It's called Mantex or Spaceboard. It's a fiberglass impregnated foam. We use ABS plastic. That's got good dimensional stability if it's in like a bilge area. We use a 20mm plastic. It's called King Starlight. That's actually got a slightly reduced level of recycled plastic in it, which is good. The bulk of it's 10mm virgin polyethylene. If you use recycled plastic, when it gets hot, it all wants to twist and go out of shape. So you use virgin plastic, which of course is 3-4 times the cost, but you get those nice flat panels. All cut in a CNC machine and then through into the upholstery department.
It's all down to the mill, isn't it? Down to less than a mill.
It is. The CNC machine's a great bit of equipment. It doesn't take sickies, but it always cuts on the right side of the line.
Simon, we've only got half a boat here. What's going on?
So this is the assembly section. So we've come out of the grinding booth now. The hull and deck come in 2 separate parts, as we can clearly see. This will get rolled upside down to put all the wiring in it and put a lot of the fittings on. We'll carpet the hull before the deck goes on, and then we'll join them together using what's called a shoebox fit for obvious reason. You can see the deck sleeves over the hull like a lid goes on a shoebox. Double thickness join that's bonded and screwed. It's sealed up and it ain't coming off.
Wow. So it's bonded, so there's a glue in between of some sort as well?
Yeah, it's the same bonding agent we use to put that Fibex stringer system in. It's called Weld-On. Without getting too technical, it's what's called a methyl acrylate adhesive. Bond to 2 parts at a molecular level.
Holy hell.
Like I said, it's not coming off.
That's a bit uncommon around here. We've got a gap in the floor.
Got an empty space. So that's for the next one we were just looking at in the assembly section. That'll come up in here, which is the rigging. So we've got an engine, a box full of boat parts, the fuel tanks, ballast tanks. Everything here that's going to make the boat go is all fitted here in rigging. Just like this one here, where the engine's already in there, but these guys will fit everything that makes it go. Steering, stereos, ballast, batteries, dashboards, windscreens, towers, you name it. Once it's finished here, no petrol in it, no propeller on it. Other than that, you could actually take it off the production line and go skiing with it.
Simon, I noticed that all the tanks in the Malibu boats are plastic.
Yeah, so cross-link polyethylene for the fuel tank, of course, and then all our ballast tanks, various different shapes and sizes, and they're all a bit of a stocking nightmare. Specific shapes and sizes for all the different models. So they sneak underneath the floor, 2 ballast tanks in the back of a wake setter. That's the big centre one, and then there's the optional bow one. But as you said, they're all plastic tanks.
But they're all nice and solid, like the others, the softer tanks that traditionally they leak.
Yeah, the fat sacks, we started there years ago. We do reserve the right to improve. The tanks just give us a much better serviceability. But now, of course, being a tank, they've actually got, for want of a better phrase, fuel gauges in them, which all comes up on the dash. So it's got our ballast monitoring system. Yep. So you can see how much water you got on each tank as well.
Yeah, unbelievable, isn't it?
Try to think of everything.
So by doing that, the rider's actually able to control exactly the wake that he wants at the back of the boat.
Yeah, and of course there's all the wakeboarders out there that know, your wakes are going to be a lot different depending on if you've got weight in the back, in the front, or you push the whole thing in. And by having ballast monitoring, you can see exactly what's going on.
And you can vary that according to who's in the boat, how many people as well, I take it?
Yeah, and you can do it on the fly, and then of course with our preset dash on the Malibu, you can save your favourite settings when you get in for the next time round. Just push your button and they fill up the way you had them last time.
I thought you said we weren't going to get high tech.
No, well that's just low tech. That's, everybody likes that. That's not too complicated, mate. Try to keep up with it. In the trim shop, it all happens here. So all those plastic parts that we cut on the CNC machine come through this area behind me where we put 14 different densities and thicknesses of foam. So then they start to look a little bit like, you got 2 and 3 and 4 layers on these things here. So lots of different shapes and sizes to get all the contours. And all the vinyl is cut by hand down here, 4 different sewing machines that we're going to look at in a sec, to create all different stitches. And most of the sewing in a Malibu is exposed, so that's by using French stitching or top stitching. So they tend to look a bit more like an Italian lounge suite than a boat seat.
They do.
So all these skins, once they come off the sewing machine, the boys trim them up and ready to apply to the actual seat frame. That'll give us a finished product that'll go through the racking and into interior install.
Simon, what's French stitching?
Well, that's the 2 stitches that go next to one another. You've got to look closely. If you haven't got the proper twin needle machine, if you want to cheat, you can go down one way and back the other, but you get a lot of this going on and it looks a bit tacky. So you've got to have all the right equipment to get the right result.
Bonjour. Well, here we are, mate. We've got the upholstery going on.
Yeah, so Brennan just putting the skin on. This is a rear lean back for a VLX. You see the texture of the vinyl that we use. It's literally the heaviest marine vinyl that you can buy in the world. But you know, Malibu's got that really heavy leather texture, and that's achieved by this process called remake, where we've actually got another layer of foam laminated on the back of it. And that's what gives it that really heavy feel, but it stops at pinpoint stretching. So if you stand on it, and why do people stand on boat seats? Because they can. But so it won't stretch under your heel. It spreads the load over the whole cushion and gives it that really smooth look.
Looks great, and it really does give it that leather appearance, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's, you know, look, it's a durability we're after. You know, even this French stitching, and if we can pick that up on the camera, that's the French stitching that you asked about. And what we've got on the back is a webbing, so that when you stand on that or whatever, that's assisting the strength of the... So the strain isn't on the seam itself, it's shared on that piece of webbing on the back. It's all about trying to make the interior last as long as the exterior.
Absolutely, and not absorbing moisture into it so you don't get a wet bum when you sit down.
Exactly, and we all hate that, don't we?
Absolutely. Even the dashes are upholstered. It's a great finish.
Yeah, we do constantly get complimented on the fit and finish in Malibu. It's something we pride ourselves on. Not an easy thing to achieve. So we start with the dash, for example. It's an ABS shell that's all applied. We have a 1/8 foam applied, which is all sanded by hand and sprayed with a specific glue. Then the actual skin is all hand sewn, much the same as we've seen with the regular interior, and it's applied using heat. And we finish here with a dash. So that's where you get that real, you know, European sports car look. So that's all completely done by hand, and of course once you put the componentry in, it really sets the whole thing off.
Our cameraman says, very Bentley-ish. I reckon it's more Corvette.
Well, Aston Martin perhaps.
Simon, the tower and the windscreen and all that sort of stuff went on in the rigging section.
Yep.
What are we doing here?
So this is interior install. So all the interior components that we saw made earlier are now getting fitted to the boat here. And everything, as we talked about the engine being through-bolted, most everything in a Malibu, including the interior where possible, is through-bolted. So stainless steel bolts on the back of all the panels, into the boat, washer and a nylock. So if you actually damage a part, you can unbolt it and take it out. Once it's finished here, on the test trailer and up to Lake Hume for a water test, and then moves on to final.
Excellent. Excellent. So bolting obviously a lot stronger than self-tappers?
Yeah, and as you know, self-tappers in fiberglass, about 2 goes and that whole shot. So by through bolting, you get a much better result.
Excellent. So Simon, completed process.
Yeah, so this is a point where it's come off the production line, obviously, and going onto the test trailer. So now we're off to Lake Hume. Luckily, they've got a nice sunny day to perform the water test. It's about a 2-hour round trip to do a complete systems check, put the boat in the water, and make sure it does everything it's supposed to do. Some people go, oh, that'd be a great job here to get that. You've got to go every day, whether it's -4 or 44 days.
Yeah. And so water test every boat that goes out of here?
Yeah, one's never ever left the factory that hadn't been in the water. So we put champagne on the front when you launch your new Malibu. It's been in the water once already. So it looks like John's taken off the smokos, so that's okay. I'll finish. Right here is the finish line. So this is final detail. So after the boats come back from water test, we'll come here for final detail. So full cut and polish, all these decals applied. And once it's completely detailed, then they'll ask for final inspection, and that's the last of 6 inspections that I will have done all the way up the production line. Once it's past that, shrink wrapped on a trailer, on a truck, and off to the dealer.
So mate, when do we get to go skiing?
Well, this one's probably an hour away, and we're into it. Sun's still out. Let's do it.
Excellent. Simon, I've just done the tour. Can anyone do the tour?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's certainly the most significant things that separate Malibu from most other brands available. You can't see when the boat's finished. And by coming through the factory here and seeing what I showed you today, gives people the opportunity to really see exactly what they're paying for. And once they get to this point at the end of the tour, you know, they can really got a better understanding of exactly what we do here at Malibu Boats.
It really does make a difference, and from a boat builder's perspective or from a purchaser's perspective, you can look at 2 boats that both look exactly the same, but it's what's underneath the gel coat that counts.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, people, it's, you know, you can book or you can just show up. We'll always find somebody to walk you through and show you what we do.
Mate, all good. The hospitality's great. The product's really good, mate. World-class products made in Albury, in Australia, and a credit to the company for keeping manufacturing in this country. That means jobs for Australians.